It's the RJ Ochoa Show on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. What's going on in Jerry's world? What's the latest from Cowboy Camp? Find out right here, Friday mornings at 7:30 and 9:30 with the manager and editor-in-chief of Blogging the Boys, RJ Ochoa. Here's Robin Rudy.
Here we are. This is R and R and R and a J all rolled into one. Welcome aboard 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. By the way, RJ, you are joining us on a celebratory day. It has been 1 year since we have joined the 94.1 FM Frequency Club, the biggest blowtorch of sports talk radio west of the Mississippi. Here we sit with RJ Ochoa of Blogging the Boys. Welcome aboard, sir. Glad to see you again.
Great to see you guys. Happy anniversary. I think you undersold it, Rob. Both East and West.
Absolutely.
Geography is but a state of mind. There's, what is the vertical line? Not the prime meridian. What's that line?
It's the anti-meridian and all the little meridians.
Yeah, exactly. ABC meridian, whatever. You guys are the best. So 941, 9 plus 4 plus 1 is what? 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. That's how many titles the Spurs have. Just for now, though. I mean, the Ray Mercedes is back on.
Absolutely. I see. And for those not watching on the StreamYard or YouTube,
you're not go there.
He's RJ's donning an America's Team shirt. It's only fitting. And there was a lot, to come out of the America's Team locker room / OTAs yesterday, RJ. And I think to me, the storyline is, when we first started, when Mike McCarthy first, let Kellen Moore go and he initiated it. It's like, hey, we're not changing much, 25%. Then a few weeks later, it's 35%. Then yesterday, it's like, we cutting down the lingo, and CD's like, it's a whole overhaul. Where you come out on this, RJ?
I think that Mike McCarthy is easy fodder. So I think anything that happens, people are going to pounce on. And
that's true.
To be dumb and wrong and stupid and probably ugly. That being said, look, Aaron Rodgers' fourth season with Mike McCarthy was the 2011 year. The Packers went 15-9. Aaron won the first of his 4 MVPs. This is Dak Prescott's fourth season with Mike McCarthy involved as his head coach. Granted, not as his play caller. Things had to change. Look, I'm as big of a Dak Prescott fan as you will and can find. But this idea that we had to completely continue to cater to him and his friends and who he likes, and Kellen Moore's been the only voice in his ear for the last 3 years. What's going to happen? I don't know. They're gonna adapt and they're gonna move on. They're gonna adjust. Like, it's okay. It's okay that things are different and that some of the language is different, because Mike McCarthy has a track record of high levels of success, whether anybody wants to admit it or not.
RJ Ochoa joining us. Go check all the stuff at Blogging the Boys. A couple of things from what I heard yesterday. How much he talked about the brevity of the play call. We're wasting some time here on all these calls. Do you get the sense that that's one of the things that's nagged him from the beginning of working with Kellen? That you just
like, dude, you're reading essays. Yeah,
too long.
You're reading essays in the headset.
Yeah, I don't think that that's impossible. I think it's worth revisiting, and I don't mean to, reverse bag on Kellen Moore, but he became an offensive coordinator after 1 year of being a quarterbacks coach, and after 2 years of being in the NFL. And so, people love, again, to kind of dump any, misstep on McCarthy. The Cowboys have had those issues. Remember when they beat the Chargers a couple of years ago in LA? It was like, what are you guys doing? Why are you taking forever? The play clock, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. There is I think a common, script or a common kind of quick language that you developed that maybe Kellen didn't want to deviate from, and that may not even be true. But it does make sense that Kellen who is an incredibly bright coach, an incredibly bright person, maybe overthought things, maybe interjected too many variables. You know what I'm saying? I can't, offer any mathematical equation. It's been too long, but you remember a day and a time where you would break down the equation that was like the length of the page, and you would deconstruct it to the point that it would become so much simpler. And it does feel like that's at least one of the goals of the offseason for the Cowboys.
I like that. I think in the media that covers the Cowboys, RJ, and their fan base, I think every year we pick a guy or two that's going to be low-hanging fruit that we're going to pick on. And I feel like one of those guys last year was, and he didn't even get to play, poor dude, is Jalen Tolbert. And when I heard him yesterday, I didn't feel bad for him, but I kind of understood a little bit more maybe why he wasn't able to get on the field. Do you feel like when I hear him yesterday say, hey, you know what, they had me in the slot, then they had me outside, then they had me here, do you feel like maybe they put too much on his plate instead of just having him focus on one specific position so he could keep his confidence where it needed to be so he could contribute?
I agree with 90% of what you said.
Okay.
But I don't think that we as the collective hyenas pounced on Jalen Tolbert.
You don't?
I think he had it easy.
Think so?
I do. I think he had it easy.
Oh, wow. I thought he was one of the guys we picked on.
We picked on James Washington a whole lot more than we did on Tolbert.
Okay.
I think we picked on Tolbert, but my point is, like, I don't think he was this innocent little lamb that we just are jerks about. I think that that Stephen Jones was Scar to Jalen Tolbert's Mufasa. I think he hit his paw on the cliff and sent him down. I mean, look, it was when Stephen Jones was on y'all's airwaves with Jason and Joe. I remember that day when they were at Devo's doing a game on a Friday. And he said, yeah, we put too much on his plate. And that's what they did.
Okay.
They traded away Amari Cooper. The big move they made was re-signing a dude coming off of a torn ACL. They're the ones who painted this big bullseye on his back, like, hey, this is going to be the dude comes in and saves us. And whether that was right or wrong is completely and totally on the Cowboys. And so then when he failed, I agree with you, Rudy, that there are some people who don't look at the overall, who just say, well, he failed. That's true, he failed. But the expectation that was put on him and that we were led to believe was designed by the team. And that was the stupid thing. That I think was the true catalytic moment that led to the discourse that Jalen was on the receiving end.
Chances of success from Tolbert this year. And I don't know how you're going to quantify success, but chances of getting off the floor.
I mean, it can't be worse. That's really kind of what this comes down to. And the expectation is lower. The responsibility is lower because they traded for Brandon Cooks. And so this truly is the bar could not be lower for you, dude. Just literally like when you're helping a kid walk, just take a step. Like, even if it's like a half one, like, we'll all pretend, we'll all clap, you know what I mean? Like, it'll be real to all of us. And so it would not, they're not counting on Jalen Tolbert. So anything he does is icing on the cake. Whereas a year ago, they weren't just counting on him, they were counting on him being an integral part of what they were going to do. And he had a lot of hype. I mean, I partly put that on Dak too, in that, he was a guy that Dak liked, and Dak sent him a playbook and blah, blah, blah. Okay, Dak, I mean, you can't just have all your friends. Like, this isn't high school lunch. You know what I mean? This is an NFL team.
Okay. Normally, RJ, especially in the NBA, but of course we're talking NFL. Normally, when you're superstar, you're face of your team, the best player on the team, the guy that is your leader, when there's a certain person in that locker room, especially when we talk about the coaching staff, when he loves that person, no matter what goes on, you let that person stay around. When I heard two different clips of Micah Parsons speak so highly and calling him, George Edwards, his dad in the locker room, considering Micah's relationship with him, are you surprised that they actually let him walk?
No, because I think it ultimately comes down to, brass tacks at the end of the day. Plus, I think, all due respect to George Edwards, if Micah had to power rank the important people or coaches in his life, I would reckon that Dan Quinn would be number one.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just you can't keep everybody. I mean, that's really what this comes. And you can't keep everybody because life happens. It's not just football. It's not just success or whatever. Like, sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes people have different things they have to tend to. So I'm not stunned by that. I think that the Cowboys do recognize that you do have to let the occasional coach or the occasional uncle or the occasional whoever sit in the shadows and be a part of your organization, just because that's you need something they have. And I said that, after Dak Prescott's rookie year, he was famously very close with Mark Sanchez. And my argument was, bring Mark back.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Dak likes paper plates. I like paper plates. Like, Dak, thinks Seinfeld's better than Friends. I
keep the superstars happy, RJ.
Right. No, I mean, I agree with you, but again, like, and Mike has reached a point where you have to, like, I don't think this is a challenging thing. I think this is just a matter of details that went a different direction, and everybody's at peace with it.
RJ Ochoa sitting in with us on his show as regular on Friday. Cowboys sitting in with about $20 million in the bank. Kind of hanging out, got a little bit of money to spend if they wanted to. What can we expect to be done with that money?
Yeah, my pocket feels a hole burning in it. That's really
right.
What it
Absolutely.
Feels like. The low hanging fruit is DeAndre Hopkins, right? You got to go for it. You got to add another option. He's available now. You don't have to pay any draft capital for him. It's just money. You know what I mean? It's not my money.
Seriously, it is.
Right. Now, a fair and logical argument can be made that you can use that to, get a Trayvon Diggs extension done, a Dak Prescott extension done, a CeeDee Lamb extension done. You can have both if you want to be greedy enough, if you want to be short-sighted enough. I don't like the term win now. I don't like, that disposition because it doesn't exist. Like, any team that is quote unquote win now can bail themselves out. There are more extenuating circumstances like the Rams and the draft capital they've spent. But you can, with a flick of a pen, create salary cap space. And if you don't believe me, just ask Jimenez's New Orleans Saints.
True.
And so you can make a huge argument that, hey, dude, the time is now. The iron is hot. Like, if not now, when? And so that, I go back and forth, but I do understand a measure of cautiousness because they have been aggressive. They did trade for Brandon Cooks. They did trade for Stephon Gilmore. They did take a defensive tackle in the first round for the first time since 1991. So, I'm very full. You know what I mean? Do I want dessert? Absolutely. I want to look at the menu, but I got to be cautious. I have a bag of dark chocolate salted almonds at home that I can always go back and, pick out when I watch a movie.
Impactful. I'm off the sack wave. I want to be impactful. I don't want to be one of the guys. I want to be the guy. What does that mean to you when you hear Micah Parsons say that? And how do you interpret it?
To me, I think it means that Micah Parsons' season has ended before he's wanted it to. Every time he's, played a season in the NFL. And, people remember the sack leader. Yeah. Do you guys even know who led the league in sacks last year?
Bosa.
Is that your guess? Like, are you?
That's my guess.
Like, would you bet your life on it?
No. See, so I see your point. No, I wouldn't. I feel you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's cool. Like, you know what I mean? But it's not the end all be all. And I'm not saying that Nick Bosa or TJ Watt or Aaron
isn't impactful.
They care about that. Right. But I think that, Micah, dude, you can have all those moments. You can have the big time celebration in mid-November, dude. And I don't think that Micah's done anything improper, but there's a bigger goal at play. There's a bigger thing at stake. And I think that's where the Cowboys are at in a unique time where their young bucks have kind of become these wise veterans now. The Dak Prescotts, even the CeeDee Lambs of the world. They've been there. They've seen enough. They've had enough heartbreak to where they're not going to touch the stove when it's hot. You know what I mean? They know, how precious this opportunity is. And so, and if you're, you guys know this, if you're a Cowboys player and you lead the league in sacks at something, yeah, you can make a post-playing career out of that. Look at DeMarcus Ware.
Right.
DeMarcus Ware's helping them out.
He's everywhere. Yeah.
Speaking of, he was at the Star yesterday. Did you see him working everybody out?
Yeah.
Right. And obviously D-Ware won a Super Bowl, granted, with the Broncos, but if you win a Super Bowl with the Cowboys, that's a different level of set for life. That is a portal that opens that removes any closed door you could ever encounter. And for someone of Micah's stature, I think it's even more impactful. And I think he finally recognizes that. He's in his third season in the NFL. Not going to be this dominant of a player forever, so he's got to capitalize now.
I'm looking at a CBS Sports .com listing of the most complete teams in the NFL, and the Cowboys come in on their list at number 5. And the weakest room, the weakest position group they list is the linebacker room. Do you agree?
Well, if you wanted to play semantics, you could say kicker. You know what I mean?
I think you have to have one in the room. I guess we got whatever his name is, Tristan.
Hey, good point, RJ.
But I think that's fair. And I think, the common argument against that is, well, Micah's technically a linebacker. That's cool. He is, but he's playing there like 18% of the time at the most.
Right.
And so he's, we can all be adults here. And so the plan at linebacker is Leighton Vander Esch, who, has rebounded from an early career kind of injury-prone label.
Okay, that's
granted,
one.
he did get hurt last year. You've got Damone Clark, who had spinal fusion surgery, shocked everybody. And then you got a couple of lotto tickets. You got DeMarvion Overshown. You got Jabril Cox. You've got Devin Harper, who you drafted last year. But I mean, that is the lowest floor of any position group you have. Even left guard, which Cowboys fans are really salty about. Who's going to play left guard?
Tyler
like
Smith.
Right now, if I had to,
it's Tyler Smith.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, the argument is well, what happens when Tyron gets hurt?
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But my point is you can trot out a plan at offensive line today, but as far as linebacker, true and pure linebacker is concerned, I mean, even your top two guys, if you are playing nickel, it's hard to, you're really counting on Damone Clark taking a leap in his second season. It's the least stable foundation, I would argue, of any position group on the team. I think that's fair.
I agree with you there. Micah talked about him talking to Sam Williams, and Sam Williams said, hey, man, I want to do this. I want 10 sacks. I want to be this. And Micah's like, dude, you're the person standing in front of it. He said, but what you're going to have to do is go cut somebody's head off. So if Sam Williams were to cut someone's head off, and he said, hey, it's just business. We're teammates. But if you want to reach your goals, there's somebody on this team's head you're going to have to cut off. So whose head would Sam Williams have to decapitate to get to his goals that he wants to reach?
Well, first of all, I think the dichotomy is interesting, right? Micah, I don't care about sacks. Sam Williams, I want 10 sacks. But it shows exactly. It shows the I'm in the NFL.
Different
Sam Williams, right, exactly. If you're looking for a player, it's probably Dorrance Armstrong, and honestly, it's probably DeMarcus Lawrence. That's the dude. That's the job Sam Williams is ultimately coming for here as far as the long game is concerned. I think there's a future where, the Cowboys' top two pass rushers are Micah Parsons and Sam Williams, with some supplemental things, obviously, to go along the way. But yeah, in the immediate future, it's Dorrance Armstrong, who really shocked a lot of people last year. And then as far as the long game, it's definitely DeMarcus Lawrence. It's been 9 years since DeMarcus Lawrence was drafted, and I know that there are renowned sports radio voices across the country who don't believe in and support his game. But he's been an elite player basically from day one.
Can you be a hot boy after a 9-year vet, as a 9-year vet, or you're a hot man?
I think it's just you're a hot one. That's you keep it vague like that. The Hot Boys phenomenon was 4 years ago now.
Damn.
It's been a minute.
Hey, RJ. Okay, so if we're going to call me elite, it's with the lowercase e. Besides that point, I love the running back room. When I heard Tony Pollard break down the running back room, he talked about Deuce, he talked about Ron, he talked about Malik and how Malik can do it all. So I do love that. If Stephen Jones emailed you and said, RJ, we love what you're doing blogging the boys, pick 3 Cowboys that you go have dinner with, what 3 Cowboys you picking? Current
player?
Yeah, you can't pick from the 90s. Relax, buddy. Relax,
I'm
buddy.
just asking the rules.
Yeah. Current 3 Cowboys you get to go have dinner with.
I will tell you, one would not be Dak Prescott. As
Why?
amazing as he is.
Because he's boring?
A little boring.
We'd have a cheese sandwich
myself a year ago. Yeah, I asked him what his favorite TV show was. The conversation reached that point, and he said Sports Center. So
and he was telling the truth.
He's telling the truth, though.
Right. To be honest, they have a lot of just kind of straight down the line dudes on their team. I would take Micah,
of course,
so we could all rib him about different sports fandom and things like that. I think he'd be pretty fun in that sense. I'd take Trayvon just because I think Micah could help kind of loosen things up a little bit in that sense. And then I think for my third one I would take Monty Smith. You know what I mean? Let's go. He was super entertaining. And I feel like he's been the lowest radar Cowboys first round pick in some time. Like, I mean, think about, yesterday and last week, all the OTA headlines. What have you seen or heard about Monty Smith? I mean, it has been absolute, tumbleweeds on that front. And so I'd like to, see, hey, Monty, what are your thoughts on
why do you think that is? Why do you think that that's the case? Because you're right. I didn't even consider the fact that
we didn't watch it.
It's been a whole week. We haven't even talked around a first round draft pick.
I think it's because he plays a pretty not glamorous position. And even at training camp, the impact that an interior defensive lineman makes is really difficult to see. That's why, we can see Jalen Tolbert running routes. We can see Sam Williams working against the dummies. We can bang on Tristan Vizcaino for missing 2 kicks. You know what I mean? But can we really see, Monty Smith's hand placement and what technique was wrong and improper and things like that? And so, I mean, it's so hard to really absorb what he's doing that I think it just kind of.
One last question, but we're running up against it. Who's going to wear 0? Anybody going to get 0?
I think it's DeMarvion Overshown.
Is he going to get it? I hope, right? Is he wearing it now?
I mean, he's not, but J-Ron Curse kind of waved the white flag on that front.
That's right.
So, I mean, I'm not implying this or suggesting this. I'm just wondering out loud. The Cowboys basically ripped 11 off of Cedric Wilson to hand it to Micah Parsons, 2 years ago.
They cut him too. Goodbye.
And if you'll recall, DeMarvion Overshown was locker mates with Jerry Jones's grandson. And if you polled Cowboys fans all over the world and you found the most commonly rooted for university, it would probably be the University of Texas. And so there's enough there that I think Jerry was like, oh, this guy likes 0? 0's a brand new thing. He went by Agent 0. I mean, like, it's, everything points in one direction.
It's going to be him. It's going to be him.
Opinion.
He's RJ Ochoa, and only he would tell me that Overshown was Jerry Jones' grandson's teammate at Highland Park.
Oh, no, at Texas.
Yeah,
they were locker mates.
Locker mates.
I had no idea.
Of course you didn't. You hate Texas.
Jerry called him. I'm dead serious. The weekend of the draft, to like as a piece of intel. Like, hey, this dude's cool. I mean, besides their professional scouting and stuff, they asked Jerry's grandson what he was like as a person in the overall.
He is RJ Ochoa. That's why we bring him here and give him his own show on Fridays. Hey, man, good to see you. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. We'll talk to you next week.
I hope the sunlight kisses your foreheads on the way out.